now for this pool opening, we're going to reassemble the system, put back in the drain plugs that we took out of the pumps and the filter, and lubricate the O-rings. First thing I'm going to do is lubricate the O-ring on the standpipe. Removing the filter lid, and here's our DE filter assembly. And on the standpipe here is a small O-ring, not that big, and we have just replaced it. The old one dry rotted, so now I'm going to use a little bit of magic lube, just a small amount. Lubricate that O-ring. And I'll push the manifold back onto the standpipe. I'm noticing here, Joe, if you want to zoom in, you've got some tiny cracks here on the manifold. Probably not a concern, but eventually that may give way and allow DE powder to flow into the pool. Now I'm going to put a little bit of lube on the belly band O-ring of the filter tank. I'm also rubbing a lot of the dirt clean off of it here, all over my hands. But you did ask me if I wanted a paper towel, didn't you, Jeff?
I did. Would you like one?
That's all right. Nah, I work dirty. Okay. So
it all comes out in the wash.
Our belly band and our standpipe O-ring have been lubricated. Reassemble the clamp. Very important to get your clamp all the way tight until the springs are all touching each other. As it starts to tighten, I'll take the handle of the socket wrench and give a few taps around the belly band. Help make sure it's good and tight. And you can now see all the springs are touching each other, and we're fairly close on the ends of the band. It's centered properly, so it's going to be safe when we start it up. Next, let's put the pressure gauge onto the filter tank. A little bit of Teflon tape onto the threads. Now you may know this, but it's important to wrap the Teflon tape around the threads in a clockwise rotation, so that when you thread it on, it doesn't thread back off. And now we've got two new pump plugs that we're going to put in, and these pump plugs have small O-rings on them, but we're still going to give it just a little bit of Teflon tape onto the threads, again in a clockwise fashion, just one or two wraps around. Teflon tape is a thread sealant, so it'll help prevent these threads from leaking air or water. And now I can screw them into the front of the pumps. Nice and snug. They should be very tight. Next lubrication I'm going to do is on the push-pull valve, also known as the slide valve. It takes a little effort to get it out, but once I've pulled out the plunger, there are two O-rings, one on each of these discs. And although they do feel lubricated, it was a little stiff to move, so I'm going to put a little more of the lubricant on this. Magic Lube is made also with Teflon. And for pool O-rings, you want to make sure that you use a Teflon-based lubricant. Don't use Vaseline, petroleum-based lubricants. They can end up eating your O-rings over time. And there's a little O-ring on the top of the valve body there that I'm also lubricating. Now slide the plunger back in all the way down and tighten up the union nut. Next lubrication we want to do is on the pump lid O-ring. And on these particular pump lids, the O-ring is in the groove down there. I'll just get out a little bit of lube on my finger. This will help to make sure that the pump lid makes a good seal and doesn't leak any air. It also protects the O-ring from the chemicals. On the second pump, which is the Waterfall Pump, it's a booster pump that we use just for the waterfall feature on Joe's pool. We'll also give it a nice springtime lubrication. Whew. And next we've got a small O-ring on the Nature 2. Just a little bit of lube on the bottom of here. And we have over here our chlorinator, which also has an O-ring to lube. And the chlorinator lid O-ring. One more plug is our Polaris booster pump plug. And so now, in summary, we've put the plugs back into our filter pump, our waterfall pump, our Polaris booster pump, and we've lubricated the O-rings inside the filter, on the slide valve for the filter. We lubricated both pump lid O-rings, and we lubricated the Nature 2 express cartridge O-ring and the chlorinator lid O-ring. So that is the reassembly of this filter system. We've got all the plugs put back in, we've done our lubrication. We're now ready to prime the pump and start it up.